heads. All right, without further ado, I would like to introduce our next speaker. Come on, Ailynn. You know that song? Remember that song? Ailynn Seah. She's an expert in sustainability questions, focusing on the hospitality space. So, Ailynn, over to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and especially to industry friends. Lovely to see so many familiar faces. So I hope you're all enjoying the conference so far. So, Renata, thank you for the introduction. So for those who I have not met, my name is Ailynn. I'm on the HSMAI Commercial Advisory Board, and one of my passion is to drive impact and hopefully inspire change within our industry. So I am a hotelier all my life. I have spent my last 13 amazing years in this property, Marina Bay Sands. I have so besides my BD role in ensuring driving revenue, I had the opportunity to also be involved in driving quite a few initiatives on sustainability in this property. So that's why today I'm talking about sustainability. So today I'm privileged to chair and moderate a very hot topic just now from the word cloud. I saw HEAP. Sustainability is HEAP. I didn't realize. I didn't realize. I never described it that way, but it's great. So I'm going to share with you. I have the privilege today to share a very hip topic on sustainability. So right now I'm the CEO of the Lumia Consulting, an impact investing and ESG consulting firm. And I get to hear a lot of feedback. I get to work a lot with the hospitality partners. So jointly together with me are three very passionate industry colleagues, Charline from Accor, that's Charline, and Elaine from Park Royal. And we have an academia, Michael from the Singapore Institute of Technology. And they'll be sharing with us sustainability insights and best practices from their respective area of expertise. So what has sustainability got to do with revenue? Just now, it was interesting. I saw the word revenue management. So good. So at least you're all linking sustainability to revenue. So I'm going to just start with this quote from the UN Secretary, who says that sustainable development is the pathway for the future we want for all. It offers a framework to generate economic growth, achieve social justice, exercise environmental stewardship, and strengthen governance. So you know why sustainability is linked to revenue. Because if you do it right, it's going, in the longer term, it's going to help you drive revenue. So, and also sustainability has risen to the top of a lot of government and CEO agenda, and leaders across industries are all stepping up action. But as it stands now, the industry is still in its infancy stage. I think there's still a lot of work to be done. So it is, let me just take you through just to see where's the state of the market now. Why sustainability? Because people care. I think if you look at a lot of surveys now, a lot of people are willing to pay more for sustainable products. And it increased brand values and revenue. And certainly later, one of the panelists, Charline, is going to share with you how sustainability helped to build customer loyalty. And of course, not last or least, there's increased transparency and also regulatory expectation. I think you're all aware that, particularly in Singapore, all the public listed company, you need to do your ESG reporting as part of your annual reporting. And this is something that from Google, they say 73% of Southeast Asia consumers are willing to choose a more sustainable product. Michael actually shared with me, Booking.com actually shows that 81% are willing to pay more for travel products. So just to give you some perspective, what's the environmental impact, so that you didn't think, so that we all know that sustainability is not someone else that would do it if I don't do it. Because look at the impact. You know, even as you are attending an event like this, on an average, 1.89 kg of waste is being generated. 84% of the event's carbon footprint actually are contributed by transport. So I guess you fly here, some of you fly here, some drove here, some take MRT, it's fine. Even airlines are aggressively looking at sustainability and doing their carbon offset. And, you know, this is scary. 90% of the trash floating on the oceans are plastic, and you may be very glad to know that HSMAI has made this a green meeting. You notice there's no plastic bottles, and we also want to thank some of the sponsors, Duetto, who sponsored water bottles, so that you can have more refill and hopefully less landfill. And this is just to also give an idea on the event environmental footprint. As you can see, you know, for every of this footprint, for every event that we attend a day, 1.89 kg of waste, which let's say you take an average of 100, I think this is like more than 100, is equal to the to 4 compact cars. So you can see the environmental impact is actually quite immense. And because this is an Asia-Pacific event, so where does APAC rank? So from this survey on a sustainable city ranking, 50% of the the ranking is in Europe. So Europe is a very sustainable place. Second is USA. Look at Asia-Pac. Only 6 cities make it to the top 100 list. And Tokyo, Korea, Sydney, very good. Singapore ranked 35. And then Macau. So a lot of Asian cities don't even make it to the list. And you know, if you looked around, if you look at a lot of news, a lot of the APAC tourism sustainable initiatives has been initiated by at government level. A lot of all the major, I'm just listing a few, but these are the major sustainable tourism master plan that has been executed by these countries. So on the home front, Singapore launched this the Singapore Green Plan 2030, and along with it, the tourism industry, Singapore Tourism Board, dovetailed by establishing this vision and these strategies. I won't go through the details because it's really a lot. You can look at the details in the Singapore Tourism website. And there's also a separate roadmap established for the meeting industry, because the meeting and events industry, when I first came into the industry, to my horror, I found out that 40% of the food waste were generated from our industry. So it's good that Singapore now had this My Sustainability roadmap. And what are the mandatories? So one of it is at least 60% of hotel room stock to attain internationally recognized sustainability certification, and also hotel to commence tracking of emission by starting this year. And you know, looking at the UN SDG goals, we are barely like 6.5 years left. But I think the industry is still at a very infancy stage. So with that, it is my pleasure now to invite our first panelist, Charline Boccara from our code, from the Accor Group to share her insights with us on linking sustainability to loyalty and digital. And Charline is the Vice President of Digital Distribution and Loyalty, looking after the Southeast Asia, Japan, and Korea. And she has close to 15 years working in various roles and countries. And she's now based in Singapore. And she's responsible for the overall e-commerce and digital performance of their highly successful loyalty program, Accor Life Limitless. I love that program. A network of 400 hotels. Ooh, you certainly have a fan there. And 12 countries, huge portfolio. So the stage is yours, Charline.
Can you hear me? Yeah, it's fine. I'm going to try here, and then I will move here. Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be with you today, and thank you for having me on this very interesting panel. I just wanted to start by saying that I didn't print my note today. I'm all digital because I'm in charge of digital, but also because every little jest counts. So I'm going to try, so bear with me. Okay, so let's start. So before we dive into the real topic of sustainability and how we're linking it to digital and loyalty, I would like to share a bit more context around what sustainability means at Accor in general, and what is our global vision as a leader in Asia Pacific. So it's all about positive hospitality, and that's a word I'm going to reuse a bit today, but it's all about positive hospitality. Accor is committed and inclusive company, and we are striving to limit our carbon footprint, and I think we will talk a bit more about that and how to measure that later. But it's also about responding to the traveler concern about social and environmental impact. Okay. So the approach that we have towards sustainability is both global and local, and I think that's very important. I'm not going to focus too much on the local one today, because I think we have an expert that will talk about it a bit more later, but also you might have heard from other hotels what are the local initiatives that are in place. I would like to focus a bit more about the global initiative, but also how do we transcript that to our guests, to our member, to our customer on the B2C space. So the Accor Sustainability Framework, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I think it's a nice one because it's really putting people and nature at the center of everything we do. And then you have everything around eat, stay, and explore, and I think being in the hospitality industry, that's something that we can all relate to, and that's something that is relevant for every single hotel, I would say, in the world. Within the eat, stay, and explore, you always have one pillar that is related to the guest, okay? And that's what we're going to focus on today a bit more, about how do we convey that message, how do we transpire that message in everything we do, especially from a digital and loyalty point of view. Very briefly, how did we get there? How did we get to that framework that I just showed you? It's really by putting sustainability from something that was next to the business to something that is now at the center of the business. And when I'm saying that, I'm not going to give you all of the KPI, but it's really something that is monitored very closely. It's something that is within the KPI of every single of our hotels globally. And I don't think I've seen any GM, but Emmanuel just left, but it's actually in their KPI, and it's something that is at the center now of everything we do. Okay, so now moving on to the role of digital and loyalty to support those strong ambitions that we have at Accor. So basically, sustainability, to define the role, of digital and loyalty, it is key to understand the customer behavior. So that's the starting point, and the motivation globally and in our market towards sustainability. According to Skift research, the trust level into company action is still very low. So that's the first starting point. when we're telling customers out there that we are sustainable, that we are green, they don't necessarily believe us. So as a starting point, we need to ensure that what we do in terms of loyalty, in terms of digital marketing, is not being perceived as greenwashing. So how do we do that is the next question. But that's really important to take into account. So a few things that we are focusing on with my team from a digital and loyalty perspective is how can we better showcase our initiative on the digital platform while avoiding being perceived as greenwashing, like I just said, but also how can we demonstrate that we can actually bridge the say-do gap, so I'm not basically doing what I'm saying, and support our loyalty member, the member of Accor Live Limitless, in their personal sustainability journey. So one thing that is very important, and I think Michael is going to focus a bit more on that later, but is really the fact that independent certification is a must-have for hotel. It's not enough self-declaration anymore, and we need to move to this independent certification label in order to meet the expectation from the guest and to provide a proof of sustainability commitment. Then our role in terms of digital and loyalty will be to ensure that these labels are properly displayed all along the customer journey on all of the different touch points. So from a digital perspective, it's really key for us to be able to leverage this iconography and to build new relevant content around eco-label that we called internally Guide for Good. When it comes to loyalty, so we have a global loyalty program that is called All, as we mentioned, and we are leveraging it, but we're gonna leverage it even more as a key enabler in our sustainability strategy. So I'm gonna give you a few examples because for me that's really interesting, but the objective when it comes to loyalty is very simple. It is to turn sustainability into something that can tangibly provide a sense of purpose for our member, and for all.com to become the responsible travel choice. So driving loyalty is at the heart of our strategy, of course, and then it became quite obvious that linking loyalty and sustainability was the right move to make. So we really aim to listen and anticipate to the guest need in order to transform our loyalty program. So to finish concretely, what does it mean? And I want to give you a few examples of programs that we have launched, but also things that are not even launched yet, but are coming this year. So the first one that you can see here on the screen is what we called Give for Good. So that's a global program that basically, the concept is simple, is to donate your loyalty point that you have earned when you stayed in an Accor hotel to a cause that is dear to your heart. So as of today, we have two specific causes that you can donate. One is about the wildlife, and the other one is around Accor Solidarity that help local organizations around different projects. But tomorrow, the objective is to really have this platform enhanced with a lot of opportunity, both global and local. So you will basically be able to give your point to do a donation to the charity of your choice. And it's already live on the platform, but more to come. The second example that is very dear to my heart and is not officially launched yet, so I didn't put a screenshot, but I still wanted to share with you, is what we call Skip the Clean. And I'm sure some of you have heard about it because it's not something that we created, it's an industry thing, so that's why I wanted to share with you today. But it's the concept that, once again, very simple. You can earn points when you decide that you don't want your room to be clean. Okay, so that's helping us to basically offer guests that are staying more than 2 nights. Obviously, when you're staying 1 night, that doesn't work. But the opportunity to opt out of the in-room cleaning service to reduce their carbon footprint. It also reduces the use of chemical and water. And as a token of appreciation, you're earning points. So the more you skip the clean, the more points you're earning. So all of this initiative will be expanded in the coming months to include a wider range of choice and of product. So overall, just to finish, we want to make our member basically proud to belong to Accor Live Limitless, and we want to accompany them in their sustainability journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charline. That was an amazing insight. Okay, next, I'd like to invite Elain. Elain is the head of marketing communication and sustainability for Park Royal Collection at Marina Bay. And, it's just amazing, the initiatives that they are taking. If you have not seen the hotel, you should go and take a look. And it's known as the garden in the hotel. It's really amazing. And, they've won so many awards because of their sustainability initiative. And Elain is one of the few hoteliers that has become head of sustainability, who also has a marketing communication role. And she's done an amazing job leveraging on that for their brand building and their brand image. So over to you, Elain.
Thank you so much, Ailynn, and good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to see some familiar faces. I'm Elain from Park Royal Collection, Marina Bay. And today we would like to talk a little bit about the impact of brand image on the impact of green innovations on brand image. So our Park Royal Collection brand was actually established only 2 years ago, and it was established to champion sustainability and environmental responsibility. And we took on a holistic approach at our hotel. We looked at energy efficiency, we looked at water efficiency, we looked at plastic waste, and we looked at food waste. So we make sure that we took that holistic approach, and this is all practice, all the best practices are practiced across our hotel operations. But today we will only look at environmental pillar that we have. So first of all, our journey. In 2020, we went on a renovation for 9 months, and we took on the rejuvenate approach rather than reconstruction. And that really worked out well, because a reconstruction, pulling down the building, means producing almost 51,300 metric tons of carbon emission. And then it wouldn't align with whatever we're talking about today, right? So for energy management, we have built our solar panels on our rooftop, a total of 210 solar panels that generate 340 kilowatt hour of renewable energy every day. And this energy actually powers our 13 lifts and emergency lights, and it has reduced our overall electrical consumption by about 1.4%. And if you have not been to our hotel, our swimming pool in the night really looks like that. We have installed 1,380 fiber optic lights, and it only consumes 657 kilowatt hour of energy per year, compared to a standard swimming pool lights, which is almost 2,000 kilowatt hour. For plastic waste management, we have eliminated single-use plastic waste in our hotel. We have installed water filtration system in all guest rooms, and we have eliminated 360,000 single-use plastic per year. Also, our miniatures, we have eliminated 2 million bottles a year just by switching to refillable bottles. So recently, our hotel has changed our the traditional chefing trays to eco-burner system. And this is cableless, this is waterless. And in 2022, we saved 14,000 liters of water. We prevented 2,800 kilograms of waste, and we reduced carbon emission by about 12 tons. We have a very beautiful urban farm. It's about 150 square meters, and we only grow what we need. So an example of this is our chefs will plan their menus in advance, and we will work with our farmer, and we will tell our farmer, in 5 months, we're gonna have a Thai food promotion, and we need spinach, we need lengkuas, we need lemongrass. And our farmers would would grow these for us in advance, transplant them into our urban farm before our promotion, and then we have all we need in our urban farm. Of course, whatever we cannot grow, we buy local. We try. So that was our journey. That was, it's a very crowded marketplace in the hospitality industry. So when we choose our narrative carefully in order to support our long-term business strategy, and green innovations is one of them that we embraced at our hotel. It's one of them that we share on our stories with many. That's our journey. And of course, we had some attention from the ministries, and most recently, the new Taipei City Mayor, Mayor Ho, who is also a presidential candidate in 2024. He came to Singapore and he wanted to learn from Singapore and our government on sustainability and how he can improve sustainability in New Taipei City. And our hotel was one of them that he visited. We have also launched many sustainable hotel building tours for children in our effort to plant sustainability seeds in these young minds. So almost every week, we're giving a tour to these students. So the impact of green innovations on brand image, there's a lot of impact. But one of the benchmark I use is news coverage. In 2022, in the whole of 2022, we received almost about 4,600 news coverage, including social media. Sorry, yes, that's right, including social media, and 27% is all about sustainability. I think that's pretty high. For social echo, we had 80,184 for the year 2022. We benchmarked this against an international hotel group, and we are about 4 times more in social media echo than the group that we benchmark against. So the impact for us is tremendous. Not forgetting, it also, our employees also has grown in their loyalty for us. They're proud to be working for us. They know that they're working for a responsible organization. So that's really nice. They're involved. They're excited about, what's next, what's the next new innovation. And sustainability has indeed become our differentiator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. That was amazing. Certainly they have revolutionized the way urban hospitality approaches sustainability. Come up next, I'd like to invite Dr. Michael Alexander Kreusi. He's a professor at the Singapore Institute of Technology. Come on, come right on. Let me just I need to refer an introduction of him.
That's okay, thank you, Ailynn.
Or maybe you do your own.
Yes, I think it covered it. My name is Michael, assistant professor at SIT, Singapore Institute of Technology. And today it is my pleasure to speak with you, ladies and gentlemen, about linking revenue management to sustainability. Rather large clicker. Okay, so hotel sustainability. Love it or hate it, it's here to stay. In actual fact, I feel that 10 years from now, it shouldn't even be called sustainability, it should just be the optimized way of doing business. It's being demanded by the market. The research shows it. We've heard this from the esteemed panelists today. It's being driven by increasingly stringent regulations. There is a learning curve. Resources are needed. Education. But of course, there's opportunities, specifically for the early adopters, and I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. In fact, becoming more sustainable could lead to revenue maximization potential, and it should therefore not be viewed as a cost factor, but rather as an opportunity, as a strategy that you can monetize. In fact, my distinguished colleague, Prof. Remy, and I are actively working on this. We're researching, we have a research agenda about linking sustainability to profitability, and have several research projects. At the end of this presentation, in fact, there is a QR code, and we would love for you to fill in a brief survey. So, costs versus opportunities. There are upfront costs, of course. There is a debate about who should pay these costs, the operator or the hotel owner. Employee training is needed, both at the onboarding stage and on an ongoing basis, especially with some key personnel. But this is far outweighed by the long-term, and by long-term I should say medium to long-term opportunities that present themselves by becoming more sustainable. Cost savings can be achieved. A retrofit of an HVAC system would increase its efficiency by about 30%, has a payback period of about 4 years. Lighting, a lighting refurbishment could literally cut your lighting costs in half, and lighting and HVAC put together represent about 50% of a hotel's operating cost. In a country like Singapore, that's closer to 70% due to our heavy usage of air conditioning, as I'm sure you've noticed in this room. It enhances your reputation. This has already been covered. And generally, the research shows that guests are willing to pay a premium for it. But not only should that be noted, but if you're able to provide, all things being equal, a hotel room at cost parity with your differentiator point being that you're sustainable, you're more likely to be chosen. So it's not just about the willingness to pay more, it's also an indirect revenue driver through increased occupancy. First movers enjoy advantages, especially when it comes to certification. The research shows, a study published this year, that if you are the first mover in your comp set in a certain area to become certified, you achieve much higher, you enjoy much higher advantages on your RevPAR, your occupancy, your ADR. That's followed by the second mover moving down until the late movers, who were found in this American study to have lost up to $20,000 a month on RevPAR compared to the first movers. Regulatory compliance. Okay, when it comes to regulations, it's a carrot and a stick. I'll be talking about that a little bit more when we get into the actual discussion. Okay, so there are things driving, and they're coming a lot faster than people expect. But there is also a lot of incentives for becoming more sustainable. And of course, customer loyalty was also covered in the first session. So online reputation management was once seen separate to revenue management. It is now becoming an integrated part of revenue management. Research shows that a 1 point increase on a 5-point scale in a review score will allow you to raise your price by 11% while keeping your market share and occupancy at the same rate. And so this could be a precedent to understand how sustainability might be linked to revenue management in the same way. So based on the trust score model, right, based on aggregate data from third parties, if you're able to improve your reputation, people will be willing to pay more for your property. Independent, unbiased reviews of your features, of your amenities, of your services, they are calculated into a trust score by companies like ReviewPro or Revenate. And hotels should similarly assess their sustainability practices as well in an objective, measured manner that people will trust. Because that would show real commitment to eco standards. Self-review was mentioned earlier on the stage as well. You would have seen that, for example, on Booking.com, the Sustainable Travel Badge. If you look at the methodology for how they actually come up with this travel badge, it has a few weaknesses, to say the least. You basically fill out a survey, a yes or no questionnaire, and that's sent back, and then another survey is sent to your customers to see whether or not they actually saw those things that you said yes to. There is some third-party verification, of course, but it's not that rigorous. It's not based on measurement, benchmarking, and sustainability performance indicators. Okay? So we measure objectively water waste, energy, carbon footprint. We benchmark, we compare to our comp sets and our industry averages. This also allows for the identification of areas for improvement, right? So you can continuously improve. Then sustainability performance indicators are based on real numbers, right? We identify quantifiable indicators reflecting the hotel sustainability goals, continuously monitoring on a monthly basis, not just on a yearly basis. And ultimately, the goal is to reach towards certification. And there are so many certification and eco-labels out in the market. It's between 120 to 150. People sometimes don't know what to trust. Nonetheless, only about 6 to 7% of hotels are actually certified by internationally recognized certifications, which means you still have the opportunity for a first mover advantage. So the rationale is hotels should use sustainability and promote this to their customers, even though measurement of sustainability is a complex task that lacks standardization. I mean, across the industry, this is an issue. We see this, for example, with some people measuring square meters, for example, including car parks and balconies, and others not, which of course completely skews the numbers. It's really important to balance the short-term costs against the long-term and medium-term opportunities. Okay? Short-term costs are actually much lower than people think they are. And this is based on outdated historical data, right? And just general skepticism about this. Okay? Payback periods really, realistically, could be achieved within 1 or 2 years, 5 years, depending if you're going to refurbish your whole HVAC system, for example. There are challenges, including costs, identifying timing, and of course, there is really a problem with transparency and comparability, which undermines the consumer confidence in companies calling themselves sustainable. Ailynn pointed out that she saw the word hip on the Mentimeter. I saw fad, gimmick, scam. So that's the kind of thing that we're trying to avoid, right? Being sustainable is not just about hugging trees, right? It's about turning it into an opportunity and monetizing it. So how would you move forward? Well, first you have to start tracking, right? Start taking inventory of your sustainability efforts, right? With the breakdown of the main focus areas, water waste, energy, carbon footprint. Gather data, right? About the efforts, measure what your cost reductions are, right? Measure what your occupancy, RevPAR, and ADR are. Again, on a monthly, yearly basis, this must be done. Look for third-party vendors, technology-based vendors offering services. Share your data with them. The data is kept confidential, at least it is in the case of my company. But without sharing the data, how are you able to effectively compare? This is one of the main issues, and I'll get to that in the panel discussion. Once you're able to effectively assess through third-party analyzed data, distribute your results among your stakeholders, build your ratings, and bring it into your promotional materials. Now, greenwashing has been mentioned, and of course that is a sin, or apparently there's 7 deadly sins when it comes to greenwashing, but green muting is also not helping the industry. Okay, if you're doing something that's good for the environment, feel free to let people know. My students sometimes tell me that they're worried about the commodification of sustainability because they are really true believers in saving the planet, and of course we do want to protect our homes. But there's nothing wrong in making sustainability profitable, right? The end result is the same. A cleaner environment. So what's the takeaway? Sustainability is here to stay. In the short term, there are costs. These are outweighed significantly in the medium and the long term by the potential opportunities to monetize. You have a first mover advantage. It not only makes sense, right, but it should be actively pursued. You should act now. And I'll talk about that as well once we're in the discussion. And regarding the link to RM, it may well be the case that the same link we saw between ORM and RM, we might see between sustainability and RM. So we encourage hoteliers to measure your sustainability efforts, promote your standing through ranking, through benchmarking against competitors, against your comp set and against industry averages, right? Then to use that information to optimize your revenues. And if you'd like to know more about measuring, documenting, and promoting your sustainability efforts, Prof. Remy and I, who are actively researching this, look forward to discussing with you over drinks and nibbles, which I'm sure we're very much anticipating. And now, finally, if you would be so kind as you take your phones and scan this. Oh, okay, well, that happens in class sometimes too. No. Okay, in that case, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you so much. And you know, Michael teaches sustainability, especially you know, his role on research and sustainability-related topics in hospitality business. And I think that plays such a major part in our ecosystem, inspiring and educating the young at the early stage of their life. And he also specializes in measurement and benchmarking. So by the way, I didn't mention earlier, he's also the founder, which I think you saw at the last slide, of Exterior Tech, a research-driven tech-based company providing sustainability solution for hospitality and the tourism industry. Because I personally feel that data convergence is a big issue in sustainability as a whole, because there's no standard measurement, and I think a lot of countries, industry are trying to do that. So I know with this tool that you have developed, I'm sure will bring us closer to having a more better convergence in the data. So does anyone have any question before I ask the panel some question? Anyone? No? Okay. Okay, so I hope you enjoy you find the presentation very informative. As you can see, we had 3 very diverse panelists from very different backgrounds. Charline with a very big hotel chain, because sometimes it's always felt cost is a consideration. So if you're small, you can't do sustainability. But I think you can see that it's not always the case, because I think you can see from Park Royal Collection, which is a mid-sized hotel brand, has successfully used sustainability to drive their brand. And obviously, having an academia in a panel gives us a very, very different perspective on how we should be moving forward with sustainability. So right now, I have a question. I'm going to start with this question for the panelists. You know, from the insights that you have just shared, sustainability and green innovation certainly brought many benefits to business, from elevating brand image to building customer loyalty and to driving revenue. Could you share with us your views? What are the challenges that's preventing our industry from adopting and advancing the sustainability practices?
Well, I'm happy to start. I'm going to start. Try to be brief, maybe in one sentence. I would say that from a global hospitality group perspective, the main challenge is really all about scaling. How do you scale something on a worldwide basis for more than 5,000 hotels, and you can comfortably tell your customer out there that this is implemented across the board? So it's really scaling and helping the hotel on a global basis to understand the value proposition and the short-term, I think, versus long-term benefit that Michael was mentioning.
Thank you. Yeah. What about you, Elaine?
I think the common misconception is it's expensive. Sustainability costs a lot of money, and like Michael mentioned in this key takeaway earlier, you know, the small cost or the starter cost is far outweighs the long-term savings. For example, our solar panels, it will take us about 4.5 years to recoup the investment, but after that, it's all savings otherwise spent on electricity. And The solar panels has about 25 to 30 years, useful years of lifespan. So after that, it's all about savings. So it's just the initial investment. So this misconception of heavy investment and expensive, sustainability is expensive, not necessarily true.
Thank you, Elaine. What about you, Michael?
While on the topic of solar panels, it's also very good for energy security. We see what's happening in geopolitics and how energy prices can fluctuate or energy security can become an issue. This definitely future-proofs you. I think the reason why, to a certain extent, it hasn't been adopted as widely as it has, it is a complex and multifaceted process to become sustainable. There is no silver bullet. There's no one thing that you can do. It is really an assessment of all of the activities that you do at your hotel to establish what your aspects, your impacts are for each aspect, and there is complexity there. And even though there is the investment is rather small, there is still reluctance because the payment has to be done now. And coming out of COVID, for example, people are not necessarily that keen to do it. And also, kind of like risk management, it's the idea that basically there might not be a link, between becoming more sustainable and attracting more guests. I mean, that is the possibility, just like you might plan for 100 risks. But the point is that if that one crisis does happen and you're prepared, it's worth it. And it's the same mentality that should be applied to hospitality, to sustainability. If there is a potential to do it, you should, because you're going to have to do it anyway due to regulations, which I'll get to at the next question, I believe.
All right, so and I'm going to the next question I'm going to ask. With every success story, there are certainly pain points. So could you share with us your personal journey in implementing sustainability practices within your organization or within your area of expertise? I think I'm going to start with Michael. I'm going to start with Michael because being an academia, you play such a vital role in our ecosystem, educating the young. So I'm sure your challenge are very different from Elaine and Charline's. So let's hear from you.
You might be surprised, Ailynn. In actual fact, the students are very gung-ho when it comes to sustainability. The younger generation specifically takes this as a very important topic, climate anxiety is a thing. It's not so strong here in Singapore, but definitely my students are very much for green initiatives. They want to learn about it. We just, Prof. Remy and I started a project where we're building a carbon footprint calculator for the Mandai wildlife reserves, and we had a lot of student researchers who were keen to join the project. The students are hungry for it. I think the issue more that we've been facing is in terms of research. So getting data and having companies share their data with us so that we can objectively assess it, that has been an issue. And I often get asked by hoteliers, why now? Why should we focus on getting sustainable now? Well, this is where the regulation is coming in, because it's non-binding at the moment, but net zero binding laws and regulations are becoming increasingly adopted internationally by different governments, okay? And I could talk for quite some time about this, so I won't give too many examples, but I will make one interesting point, that it's the investors who are also keeping up with the regulatory changes, because they're looking a little bit more long-term. What is going to be my capex to refurb my existing portfolio? What about a new building, right? Is it going to not only be applied to the regulations as they are currently, but as they will evolve into the future, right? So that should already be driving the pressure to do it, and if you're going to do it, then best to do it quickly. So the students, not so much of an issue. I actually am quite optimistic about the future, unlike most people who teach in my subject. I believe in the Solovian view. Technology will, we will work our way through this, you know, but it's sharing data and getting the process going with measurement, I think.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that the challenges are much less here, but still, I think I saw another academia in the room nodding your head. So, well, thank you. Continue to inspire the students. Okay, what about Charline and Elain? Or Elain, maybe you want to go first, Elain?
I can start if you want. I can share a bit around what we're trying to achieve and the journey we're taking and what is important to overcome that in the future, both from a digital perspective and from a loyalty perspective. I think both are linked, but I can give specific example. From a digital perspective, it's really about creating the right content and selecting the right communication channel to raise the awareness around what you're doing. I think, Elaine, you were mentioning it before. You doing things, but then how can we amplify it the right way? So it's really having, in our team, it's really about having a pillar that is around sustainability, like a content digital marketing pillar that is purely around sustainability, and making it a full part of your digital marketing strategy. And from a loyalty perspective, from a loyalty angle, it's actually finding the right angle to engage with your member and the right partner and supply to accompany you in that journey. If I take an example, what we do for our elite member, platinum, diamond, and above, we have limitless experience. We have member event. How do we make sure that all of those experiences that we offer to our member, not only when they stay in our hotel, but the people we partner with, the event we are organizing, are matching this DNA and are relevant in terms of sustainability. And to finish, I would say that for the future, if I had one wish, it would be to have the guest sustainability preference in their profile in order for us to target them better, both from a digital and a loyalty perspective.
The pain point, mine is really short, Ailynn.
That's good.
You know, in hospitality, urgency is not a stranger to us. Every day and everything is urgent. But this is really urgent. Climate action is really urgent, and we have so little time. So, you know, it's just a daily strive for innovation. And so I would say that would be a little bit of a pain point for us.
That's right. Yeah, but I think it's very encouraging to hear there are actually more plus points than challenges here. Do we still have time, Renata? Can I just, no? Okay, time's up. All right, actually I was going to ask them quickly, share one takeaway, maybe just a very quick one with the audience so that I hope you leave this session feeling inspired that sustainability is really now and the future. Just a quick takeaway, perhaps.
Measure your sustainability efforts with Xterra Tech. Come see Prof. Remy and I at the Drinks and Nibbles. We'd be happy to discuss objective measurement and improving your sustainability trust from your customers.
Sustainability is not a competition. It is not who did more, who did less, who started first, who didn't start. But it's about just starting. And although it's not a competition, it can also be used as a competitive advantage like we did. It has gained a lot of loyalty amongst our guests. They appreciate what we do. So I just hope that everybody would start quickly. And if you've not been to my hotel, please visit me. Thank you.
I will.
That's lovely, you should.
I think one sentence for me, and I've mentioned it before, it's all about positive hospitality. And it's not only about what Accor does, but it's about what we all do together as an industry. So maybe I end with a question. Can we think about a global best practice forum for sustainability among us?
That would be awesome. There's quite a few sustainability grouping in the industry right now. So, you know, if you just kind of wanted to be educated, looking for resource, connect with us on LinkedIn. And I'm just going to quickly wrap up. Really, sustainability action speaks louder than words. So start small. Every step counts. Each one of us were to just do our little part, it will multiply to millions, and make it a lifestyle, walk the talk. Integrate sustainability in your company DNA, and as we have heard from the panel, it not only just helps you build your brand value, customer loyalty, or drives revenue. In fact, it will also attract investors, and also actually, not long ago, I interviewed someone who's a millennial, Michael, by the way, a young graduate, and the first question he asked me, what is your company's sustainability practices and goal? And I asked him why. He said, I would only join companies that are very embracing towards sustainability. So, an industry, we are very lack of talent. So if you want to attract the best talent, I suggest this is something you should not overlook. And we keep talking about cost. My suggestion is collaborate. I'm a big believer of collaboration. Collaborate with government agencies. There's a lot of grant out there. I happen to know some of them, and I was told there's not many people applying for the grant. So work with your CVBs, your venue, supplier chain, and of course, learning institution that is churning out, inspiring all the students to preparing them for the real world. So with that, I think I just need to say this last bit. Sustainability really is not a destination, but a journey. The destination for all of us is really to achieve a net zero emission. And with that, I'd like to close with this. Sustainability is really here to stay, or we may not. And would you please help me to show your appreciation to the panelists for their insights. Yeah. Thank you very much.